Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. If you don't know me, my name is Emily and I'm a former PSYC207 student. Today I'm going to be doing a short video on the 4 validities and where you can find information on them in empirical journal articles. Now in future application assignments, you may see something similar to the table below. In this video, I will be discussing the 4 validities and where you can find information that can help you fill out these tables. All of the information I am talking about will be in your textbook, most specifically the Chapter 3 Working It Through section. So if you want to revisit the information, that section is a great place to start. Here's just an overview of the 4 validities and questions you should be asking for each question. This is a screenshot of Chapter 3 of your textbook. In this video, we are going to be focusing on the causal claim questions, but you'll also be doing examples with association claims. The procedure and level of detail are pretty similar. Today, you will be working with this article. If it seems familiar, that is because it is the empirical article associated with the Chapter 3 Working It Through video. Here you will see what portions of the article relate to each validity. If you are still not comfortable with the layout of empirical journal articles, hop over to Aaliyah's video. First, we are going to start with construct validity. In this section, you are going to want to look at how well each of the variables were measured or manipulated. In the case of this study, the variables are head tilt and dominance level. A great place to start for construct validity is in the method section. Here they describe how they set up the study and usually include how they operationalize the variables. As you can see in this study, they included many sections for each variable, noted with italics. You can see that the researchers use avatars to precisely manipulate head tilts, and they measured dominance using a dominance scale that has already been validated. Here's an example of how I would answer the questions to this validity. Feel free to pause the video and take a look. Next, we will look at statistical validity. In causal claims, you'll want to ask yourself 3 questions. What is the effect size, which includes how strong the relationships, the precision and the confidence interval, and finally, if results of other studies were similar, or in other words, was there replication? These questions come from the table shown before in Chapter 3. The questions in the green box represents the questions directly asked in the Working It Through section specific to this study. The best place to look for this information is in the results section and any graphs or tables included in the article. In this specific example, the graph shows that the downward head tilt was rated significantly more dominant than the other head orientations. When reading graphs, make sure that you always read the blurbs underneath them. They almost always give useful information about how to best read the results. When it comes to replications, some studies might include information like this in the results or discussion sections, but others will have similar studies included in the same article. This is great to include when discussing statistical validity, especially if they found similar results. If the confidence interval is not provided, look for the p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, that means that the 95% confidence interval does not include 0 and the results are significant. Here's an example of how you could possibly answer the questions for statistical validity. Pause the video if you want to take a closer look. Next, we have a big one, internal validity. As you get into future chapters, the questions you need to ask may differ, but for this example, we are going to stick with the questions from Chapter 3. You first want to figure out whether or not the study is an experiment. By having experiment, that means that there is almost always temporal precedence. That's because the researchers control what variables are tested first. Be sure to keep an eye out for random assignment as well. Seeing that there's random assignment can help eliminate some confounding variables, but if you think that something is still left out, make sure to point it out. When you start the blue unit's application assignment, which is chapters 10 and 11, you'll want to watch Dr. Morling's video about how to address the criteria for causations, especially for the chapter 11 edition. The best place to start is in the method section. Here it will usually tell you how the study panned out. Like in this study, the researchers specified that head tilt was a manipulated variable, so we know that it is an experiment. The method section, specifically under procedure section, emphasized that it was random assignment, another very important quality to internal validity. Like in construct validity, looking at the area in which each variable is described may give information about controls they put into place. Here, the researcher made a point to emphasize that using an avatar head rather than a human controlled for multiple variables. Some results in discussion sections can also give you information about the different relationships between variables and possibly any confounding variables. Here's an example of a write-up for internal validity. Finally, external validity. What is most important to this validity is the ability to generalize. How the study obtained their participants will be a great sign of this, and of the population they have acquired, how representative is the sample to the target population. The best place to look for this is in the method section. If the study includes a subheading on participants, make sure to read that. It will tell you where and how the study acquired participants. For example, here the MTurk is a North American company, so we can generalize that the population is North Americans between that specific age range that have access to the internet or the MTurk website. In some studies, the discussion section may have information on the population of interest, but it doesn't always, so don't rely on that section. Make sure that in this section, you do not mention anything about sample size. The number of people in the study does not impact the ability to generalize to other populations. Also in this section, make sure that you do not confuse random sampling with random assignment. Random sampling is what's important, how they select which people will participate. Random assignment is what's important for internal validity. It is also possible that the study doesn't mention how the participants were selected. That doesn't mean that external validity is bad. That just means that we don't know if we can generalize. It's okay in your write-up to say that you don't know if the results can be generalized or not. Here's one last write-up example for external validity. Congratulations, you made it to the end. Future chapters may have some different guidelines on how to answer some of the validities, especially internal validity. This is a good starting place. Hopefully this will help you for future application assignments. If you're not as confident as you would hope, watch the video again, or please come to office hours. We are more than happy to help. On that note, thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.